Welcome back to Red Band of Destiny, where we are still covering Sabaton's The Great War. This time we are doing The Future of Warfare. Lead track on the album, it's about tanks. It's very exciting. So I think the most interesting thing about this song is the drums, which gets my first positive. Let's just have a little listen here. Cut it off before the guitar gets going, but it's just a weird beat. I don't know if this catches everyone else, but it seems kind of weird in a metal album, and it sounds great. It's almost like a hip hop beat, and I feel like it's one of the reasons I love Sabaton so much. They just try weird things that work so well. So that's a big positive there. Then we've also got a positive for the lyrics, which is actually a common trend for Sabaton. I mean, the song starts off with "Standing in the line of fire, 32 will lead the way." 32 being the number of tanks in this particular battle, which was the Battle of Flers-Courcelette. I think that is actually referenced in the song, which props to them for being able to get that into a song. That's definitely one of Sabaton's talents, lyric-wise, is getting weird things into songs. They even got, the date, September 15th, 1916, they got into the song as well. I mean, it's pretty impressive what they can make rhyme. But it's not a very complicated song. It's very much... they've done a few songs that are tank-based before. A lot like the movie Fury, if you've seen that. It's just sort of like, here's some tanks, it's very exciting. Here we go. I mean, great way to start an album, that's for sure. So definitely a positive for the lyrics here. And then a positive for the solo. I think this is a particularly good solo. Not the best on the album. We'll get to that later, but it is definitely a good one. Here's a little snippet. It's hard to stop that. It's so good. I'm not usually that big of a solo guy. I feel like solos, for me, are something that I acquire a taste for after listening to the album many, many times. I'm sure most people get this, that some of the albums you grew up with and you've listened to over and over and over again, you just know, like, oh, no. You just know every note. You can just feel it, and it just feels right. And even though this album came out last year, I'm already starting to feel that way about a lot of the songs. Though having to listen to them 4 or 5 times for each of these episodes, that helps as well. So those are the only 3 positives I have for the song. On to the History Edition. So the History Edition, just one positive, probably the only positive that a single song will get for the History Edition. And that's just because it being the first song, it gets a nice little extra bit at the beginning that sort of sets the tone for the whole album, which is definitely a positive. So, the Soundtrack Edition. Sorry about that little jump there, just had to make a little adjustment. But the Soundtrack Edition this is definitely a good example, even though I'm going to give it a negative. But positives first. So the first positive, the atmosphere of the song. Just really, it sounds like the opening to a song that they spent a lot of work doing this sort of emotional opening. I'll just play it. It's got that sort of badass, like, here we go, something big's about to go off thing going on. So we'll get a positive for that. But now we get to the big positive, which is the vocals, which is weird, considering that these are mostly instrumental tracks. But they did some of the vocals for this using Flor Hansen from Nightwish, and she does an excellent job. Desolate wasteland, if final depiction. I think she actually did a lot of the backing vocals for this album. She doesn't get like proper lyrics in every song, but ooh, she really did that good. That's probably why they picked her as the lead singer of Nightwish, because she's a very good operatic singer. Just quick aside though, I actually saw her for the first time before she joined Nightwish, because her band was supporting Sabaton, who were supporting Iced Earth. So, just random thing there. And probably would never have seen her because I don't think Nightwish plays particularly small venues in the U.S. I mean, they might. I don't know where they play. They probably play theaters, I want to say, but I don't really care enough about Nightwish to go see them live. So, but we do have a negative, which is the fact that they took out the drums. And if you have been watching, you'll know I love the drums. The drums are the best part. Why would you take them away? So, the lyric vid. Nothing but positives here. Positive for the war photos that are placed throughout the vid, and also for the captions to said photos that they used during the solo, which I thought was a nice little touch there. And then just a positive for existing, because lyric videos are not as good as a music video, but it's still pretty cool. And you get to see the lyrics, which is nice. So, the Sabaton history episode. This was not one of the Sabaton history episodes that came out before the album, but it is nonetheless good viewing. Actually came out this year. So, but we give it a positive just for existing. As always, we get a positive for Indy used a little account from a British soldier or tank officer, whatever you call them. And that was pretty interesting. And throughout the thing, he explains the history of how the British developed tanks. It's kind of an interesting story because they were pretty secretive about it. But the real stuff starts when Joachim comes in. And in all of these Sabaton history episodes, either Joachim Broden or Par Sundström comes and talks about the creation of the album. But in this one, they talk about some other stuff. They talk about various inventions from different wars. Things like the invention of superglue, which was apparently invented in the Vietnam era as a quick way to close wounds. And it's just really interesting, all the crazy stuff that came out of war. I mean, it's just there's like so many different things. They also mention soy sausages, which weirdly gets them positive for a joke, because they get into Indy's like, I'm a soy sausage enthusiast and I'm very offended by these comments, because some. I think he said he didn't like soy sausages, and he's like, well, there might be some soy sausage enthusiasts. So, yeah, it escalates. But yeah, that gets a positive. So it was definitely one of the better Sabaton history episodes because of that.